Hey, everybody, welcome to the Ventures Podcast, where we dive into the stories, individuals, and companies that have shaped the world. If you're interested in tech and entrepreneurship, then this is the place for you. Now, let's grind. This week, we're diving into the book, The NVIDIA Way. This dives into the kind of origin story of NVIDIA, as well as its famous founder and CEO, Jensen Huang, and really gives a lot of the tactics and storyline on what helped NVIDIA rise to become the most valuable company in the world for a bit of time and really dominating the AI revolution, powering all of the AI data centers that are doing training for LLMs and inference for LLMs, which are a technology that's really shaping the way that we live today. Really, a lot of tech people, including myself, are seeing this as the next great revolution in technology where we're moving information is at our fingertips like it has never been before. We already had the world at our fingertips through the internet, but you had to browse and find the right thing and really understand different sources and piece them together. And now with LLMs, as long as there's a good body of text on this knowledge, these LLMs can serve it up for you in an instant. So really incredible time, and NVIDIA is the backbone of a lot of that infrastructure. Grab a coffee or maybe a glass of whiskey, as Jensen prefers to do on his Sunday night routine, and let's get started. Lesson number 1, the benefit of being founder-led and making big bets. Let's kick things off with what it means to be a founder-led company. NVIDIA's story is inseparable from Jensen Huang. He's been at the helm since day one in 1993. Tai Kim, the author of the NVIDIA Way, writes, "You can't innovate if you're not willing to take some chances and embarrass yourself." That's Huang's philosophy in a nutshell. Big bets, even if they risk failure. Think about the NV1, NVIDIA's first chip in the mid-90s. It flopped hard. Wrong tech, wrong market. Most companies would have folded under that pressure. But Huang, as founder, had the freedom to pivot. He bet on the Riva 128, a graphics card that saved NVIDIA and set the stage for its GPU dominance. Later, he made an even bigger gamble, CUDA, a platform launched in 2006 to turn GPUs into general-purpose computing engines. So you can think of this like, rather than just having an engine that functions in one way, puts out torque, this actually lets you program and change the way that engine functions, or the graphics processor in this sense, so that you can actually change whether it's more torque or the sixth gear actually lets you go even faster so that you can fine tune it for your use case, but in terms of computer algorithms. So Wall Street didn't get it. Why sink money into something with no immediate payoff? But Jensen saw the future, AI. Being founder-led meant he could ignore the doubters and sprint towards that vision. Today, NVIDIA's AI chips power everything from ChatGPT to self-driving cars. That's the power of a founder who can take risks without a board breathing down their neck. And this was also really wise by Jensen, because historically, chips became more and more commoditized. But by creating a software ecosystem on top of NVIDIA's architecture, he created a stickier ecosystem for developers and researchers to stick with NVIDIA chips, and a whole set of tooling on top of those chips that make it harder to switch to another vendor who doesn't have that tooling for you out of the box. Lesson number 2, technical founders, Jensen's mastery. What sets Jensen apart isn't just vision, it's his technical chops. Jensen would often surprise his team by being the most up-to-date on the latest advancements in chip design or AI algorithms. This guy's got a master's in electrical engineering from Stanford, and he's not afraid to flex it. There's a great story in the book where during a meeting, Jensen corrects an engineer on transistor scaling, something most CEOs wouldn't touch. He's not just a suit. He's the most technically fluent person in the room. That fluency is why NVIDIA leaped from gaming to AI. Jensen understood that GPUs could do more than render video games. They could crunch massive data sets for machine learning. He once said, the automation of intelligence is such an incredible idea that if we could continue to improve that capability, the applications are really quite boundless. That's not a marketer talking. That's a technical founder who saw the math before the market did. Lesson number 3, curiosity and whiteboarding. Jensen's not just a tech nerd. He's insatiably curious. Every time someone goes somewhere, he asks, "What did you learn?" After a team came back from a tech conference, he didn't care about who they met. He wanted the technical takeaways. That question keeps NVIDIA learning, adapting, and staying ahead. If you go to a conference on the latest research in large language models or chip design, and you run into Jensen, he's going to ask you, "What did you learn?" And he wants to know, and he wants it to be an interesting insight. So, how does he process all this information? NVIDIA has a storied history of whiteboarding, and Jensen always is at the whiteboard, breaking down complex problems into something tangible. Picture this: he's sketching out how GPUs could evolve into AI engines, convincing skeptical execs with diagrams, not just words. It's how he showed that NVIDIA could outlast rivals like 3DFX in the 90s, a culture of understanding problems deeply and visually. This is something we also see, like the root of this is a deeper understanding. When you have to go up to a whiteboard and explain your thoughts, you can't hide behind well-prepared slides. You have to be able to outline the core logic in simple and clear steps, statistics, and graphics. This is very similar to what Jeff Bezos did at Amazon, switching from PowerPoints to memos, where you had to, in writing, explain the logic for your decision making and what the outcomes of the meeting were going to be. So if you're going to suggest a new fulfillment center in Seattle, then you have to outline in narrative form why this is the best bet for the company and why this is the strategy that you're going to take. And similar to that, NVIDIA does this through whiteboarding. Lesson number 4, unique leadership style, direct feedback and structure. Now let's talk leadership, because Jensen's style is anything but conventional. When Jensen sees executives gaming metrics or playing politics instead of focusing on the customer, he publicly embarrasses them. No sugarcoating. He'll call you out in front of the team. He's got 60 direct reports, which sounds insane, but it works because NVIDIA's structure mirrors its products. If you're the best at, say, tensor cores, you lead that unit. Meritocracy over hierarchy. Kim shares how Jensen once chewed out an exec for fudging numbers in a group meeting. It's brutal, but it keeps everyone honest. He said, companies don't die of competition, they die of indigestion. They die because they don't execute well. That's speed as a habit, decisions made fast, even with incomplete information enforced by a leader who's not afraid to get in your face. So this kind of ties back to being founder led, because many hired CEOs will not be willing to stand up to the culture or enforce these types of norms on the company. But you can see here, he wants you to always tell the ground truth, real data, quality information, make sure that they make the best decisions possible and keep things moving forward. And I think this quote on companies die of indigestion is really relevant as companies get bigger, because the bigger companies get, the less likely that they're going to be able to maintain their innovative speed of rolling out new features. You see some of this stagnation in Apple, to be honest, frankly, these days. They still create great hardware, but a lot of their software is incredibly lacking. And Siri still sucks, even though we have many companies rolling out great LLMs. So it's really just a lesson to make sure that you continue to stay innovative as you grow as a company. Lesson number 5, weekly emails and resilience. How does he manage 60 reports? With whiskey and emails. Kim writes, every Sunday night, Jensen pours a glass of whiskey and digs into emails his team sends about what they're working on. He reads, he's reading, spotting delays like the time he caught a project slip and fixed it by Monday. It's personal, hands-on leadership at scale. He expects everyone to send these emails so that he can get the ground truth on what the customers are saying, what problems are employees facing in the trenches, so that he can tie all of that information together in his mental model of NVIDIA and make sure that things are moving fast and towards the right targets. Many people, he's reading these emails on Sunday and often sometimes before. So it actually became part of the company culture that you want to wait until Sunday night to send this email. Otherwise, you're going to be spending the weekend getting things done to make sure that if he does give you feedback that's critical, you can start that on Monday. So it's really funny. It's this balance, and you have to attract the right type of people who are willing to work hard, because innovating, especially in the hardware industry like this, it's super competitive. So you have to have a company culture that is pushing the envelope. You can't have a nice, cushy corporate culture. You have to have an execution-driven culture where people want to be the best at what they do. Lesson number 6, speed as a habit and execution. Let's zoom in on that execution piece. Jensen's obsession with speed. He's quoted saying, "Companies don't die of competition, they die of indigestion. They die because they don't execute well." We already talked about this. NVIDIA survived by moving fast. Think CUDA's rushed launch with half-baked data. Jensen trusted his gut and it worked. The first release of the product should be a little bit embarrassing, as it was with CUDA. They rolled out a product that wasn't really a fully featured system that would provide that much value, but they got it to market, they stuck with it, and they kept improving it. Kim ties this to a culture of risk and precision. NVIDIA's success came from a culture that combined risk-taking with a relentless focus on execution. Speed isn't sloppy, it's deliberate, a habit that keeps NVIDIA ahead of slower giants. Let's say Intel, who just continues to fail and fail. Lesson number 7, long-term focus, sprinting a marathon. But here's the twist. Jensen's not chasing quick wins. He said, "We're sprinting a marathon." Kim uses this to frame NVIDIA's 20-year journey from graphics to AI dominance. In the 2000s, he ignored Wall Street's pressure for short-term profits, betting on AI research instead. The long-term focus paid off when data centers became NVIDIA's goldmine. It's urgency plus patience, a rare combo. Jensen's advice: maintain speed while committing to transformative journeys. That's how NVIDIA outlasted doubters and rewrote tech history. So those are my main lessons from the NVIDIA Way. I'm a huge fan of NVIDIA and Jensen Huang and his approach. I want to get some of the best insights on AI and where it's going. His keynotes, anything he says is always going to be a goldmine of information. I've been a big fan of NVIDIA for a long time. In 2016, I went to the NVIDIA Deep Learning Conference in New York City and got to see firsthand what they were doing. This was around the time that image processing was taking off, and we were seeing a lot of progress there with convoluted neural nets. And now, obviously, with LLMs, we're seeing a much more useful use case of AI. But you can see way back before that, he was already thinking about these things. And he already saw that this layer of compute was going to be what was going to drive matrix multiplication, which drives the backbone of neural networks. And he was able to capitalize on this and invest in it for years before there was a payoff. And now we've seen the outcome and the success. And hopefully we see a lot more interesting products from NVIDIA, and they continue to really lead the way on AI and both AI chips as well as hardware and software. So thanks for the time, and time to get back to building, guys. See ya. Cheers.